God damn. Holy shit. 9 million players in 2 weeks. Jesus. I didn't expect that at all. Yeah, okay, well, there we go, guys. And it's not just on Steam, yeah. So they got 9 million people that played the game. And, bro, it's a free-to-play game? Yeah, and people still play it. That's the thing, is, again, a free-to-play game is going to have more people. You're right. Oh, it's free-to-play. This is a good game. It's a good game. Anybody that's going around saying, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. What are you playing, right? You playing fucking, Overwatch? Shut the fuck up. And so how many copies sold? Yeah, probably 0. And I would assume so. That's free to play? That's why? Well, no, I don't think so. So saying a game is free to play, and that's the reason why. Do you remember whenever Concord had its free to play weekend and it was lower than the paid weekend because it was after the paid weekend and people realized the game was bad? The truth is that if a video game is good, people will pay money to play it. If a video game is bad, people won't even play it for free. So if a game is good and it has a lot of people playing it, I think that is a universal thing. You can find 1 million games on Steam that are free games that, have had player bases going down and people stop playing them. All the time, there's tons of those games. So yeah, I don't even know why people would say that, but that's the way it is. Black Ops Open Beta versus Battlefield 6. Exactly, yeah, that's another great example. People will not play a bad video game, even if it's free, man. So yeah, and if it was Japanese instead of Chinese, Samurai instead of Wuxia, it would get unanimous glaze. Absolutely. People, and this is what happens, is that the reason why people don't like Chinese video games is, okay, so I'll tell you the reason why. There's 2 reasons, okay? The reason why audiences don't like Chinese video games is because they're, like, people think that China is, like, the worst country ever, and they put people in jail for stuff, and, they're, like, oppressive, etc., right? And so they don't like the country for that reason. But the reason why game journalists and the media doesn't like China is because China doesn't listen to them. That's the reason why they actually don't like China, is that whenever they go and they write an article about, a video game is like, it has sexism in the game. I'm sorry, but I don't know what the Chinese word for sexism translates to. But, again, I'm pretty sure whenever we write it, it probably translates to crazy Westerner, right? And so my point is that, or crazy American, the Wukong article. And so the reason why media and, publications and journalists don't like Chinese video games is because Chinese video games do not exist inside of the realm of influence that they have to have in order to exist. So basically, the way that these journalists operate and the way that their business model works is that they need to effectively write articles about things and then create themselves create a idea that they are the authority on a certain topic or an idea. And then after they assert that they're an authority, then they basically dish out and give their opinions on things, right? And now everybody has to listen to them. And so they create this permission structure where video game companies have to effectively appeal to them. And so that's why I think a really great example of this is, is Black Myth Wukong. Is they all wrote articles about Black Myth Wukong being sexist and stuff like this and not having women in it. And the developers of Black Myth Wukong, they saw that and they just didn't even respond to it. They didn't even tell them that they were wrong. They didn't tell them that they were right. They just didn't even tell them anything. They said, we're here to talk about the game, not some bullshit that some bullshit about our studio. Like, this is about the game. And so by not playing the journalist's game, you effectively cause them to lose. And that was the smart thing to do. And so, yes, journalists try to gather power and consolidate power by creating a permission structure to bring a game to market with positive press. But whenever a Chinese video game developer can do that and then reach audiences directly and then have a good product that, through word of mouth advertising succeeds regardless of what media does, that basically shows that media is not relevant and not necessary for the business practice of selling video games, right? And so you can see how this is an existential threat to video game developers, to video game journalists. This is a major threat to them. Because if the other companies realize that, wait a minute, well, we don't have to listen to these retards, we can just make a good video game, then all of their power goes away and they're not getting free copies anymore. They're not getting privileges anymore. They're not getting listened to anymore. Yeah, Chinese games don't have political agendas behind them. Well, I'm sure they have like certain sort of things that, like, I'm sure that like there's a political agenda inside of some of these video games, but it's not really visible to you as an American because you're a fucking American. You don't even know what this is. And so I think that's really the main difference. But I do think it does happen. It definitely exists for sure. Wu Chang didn't? Well, Wu Chang absolutely did. That's why they had to change all those different characters because of the Ming Dynasty. So, like, that's actually the one example that you would use that's a bad example. But I think in general, like, yeah, of course, there's not like an overt social messaging agenda in the same way that there is with America. So, yeah, if it's good, who cares? Exactly. And so that's the reason why, Chinese video games are a threat to Western journalists, is because they basically completely subvert their entire value system and, like their entire apparatus of control. They just exist totally outside of it. And I think that's what bothers them. And so this is the same reason too. Like, I remember this is what happened in the streaming community whenever like streamers that were like in the W community started coming up, is that the native Twitch streaming community was very hostile and negative to them. And I think the reason why the native Twitch streaming community was negative to them is because these new streamers, people like Aiden Ross, Kai Cenat, etc., these guys existed outside of the apparatus of control. And I think that one of the big reasons why is because those people want to be able to have like a power structure and a power dynamic over streamers. And so they want to feel like they can bring somebody up and they want to feel like they can bring somebody down. This is true also with Twitter. It's true with a lot of things. And so as soon as you understand that everyone loves Kai, yeah, everybody except LSF. Yeah, even any Kai like fucking comment is like, oh, but what about this thing he did 2 years ago or some other bullshit? Yeah, people fucking hate him on there. So that's what I would say. Chinese games are basically all Blizzard games, taking formulas, just making them better. Yeah, I think there's a lot of times that happens.